Okay, so here are all the items you will need to gather together before you start winterizing your fountain. First, you need a length of hose like this guy here. It could be a full hose itself, or if you've got an old hose that you want to cut into a 12 or 16 foot section like mine here, you can do that so you don't have to haul around as much. Next, you will need another hose. This is a scrunchy hose here. Works well for cleaning off the fountains if you have a nozzle on it, but don't try to use this hose to pump the water out of the pot and basin itself, because it will take forever due to there not being enough pressure in the pump to inflate the hose. Then you will need this little contraption here. This is what allows you to hook from your pump to the hose itself. Right here we have a male on one end, female on the other, 1/2 inch elbow. At Lowe's, that is item number 22691. In the middle, the black piece is a 1/2 inch threaded nipple. Sometimes they call it a threaded riser. You can pick that up at Lowe's. It is item 272033. And the guy on the bottom there is a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch bushing, and that is item number 51275 at Lowe's. So you will connect all that together. The 3/4 inch end there will fit nicely on the end of the hose there. And the 1/2 inch end is what you will screw onto your pump, as you can see here. So this is one of my old pumps that I use to pump out fountains when I do winterizations for people. So that 1/2 inch will go out from the nozzle that normally connects to the flexible hose on the bottom of your pot. And the other end there, the 3/4 inch end, will go on the hose that will get the water out into your yard as you are emptying the fountain. You will also need a flathead screwdriver. I really like these multiple size screwdrivers, particularly because the end right there is the same size as the hex head that is on the clamp that holds your flexible tubing onto the pump in your basin. Don't worry, I will show you that process and what it looks like later on, but just know that instead of using a flathead screwdriver, if you have that little 1/4 inch hex head there, or you can use a socket, either way, I find that easiest. And it just happens that the big end of these reversible screwdrivers happens to be a 1/4 inch, makes it really handy. You will also need a piece of number 2 steel wool, or any steel scrubber, anything that's abrasive, not sandpaper, but any sponge or brush or steel wool. I like the steel wool because it's really tough. It won't hurt the glaze on the pot. You can scrub away, get all the gunk off of it, all the water spots, any of the algae that might be on there. This will get it off really easily, really quickly, and you won't hurt the glaze on your pot. Okay, so the first thing you will need to do when getting your fountain winterized is unplug the pump so that your fountain stops running. Next thing you'll need to do is locate where I have put your access point so that you can reach the pump. It will always be somewhere on the front half of the pot itself, so it's easily accessible and easy to do this process. So what you'll do is you'll reach in and you'll pull out your pump. Do be a little bit careful when you are doing this process, as this corrugated tube here, over time with the cold water, will become stiff and more brittle. And so if you yank on it too hard and pull it this way, you could crack the tubing off from underneath your pot, and then you will have to remove your entire pot and put on a new piece of tubing. It's not the end of the world if it happens. I have customers come in and have to get a new piece of tubing a couple times a year, but just be wary that if you pull too hard, you might crack it off because it becomes brittle. So the first thing you'll need to do is take your screwdriver or hex head and unscrew your clamp there and pull out your pump. At this point, you will need to fully pull the cord out from where it is buried around your basin, heading toward your power source. Unless your pump has enough cord to go all the way to the bottom of your pot without pulling up any of the extra cord. In this case, Mine will only go down about 6 inches below the surface of the water there. So in order to get the pump to reach the bottom, I'll have to pull up all the rest of the cord and then put it toward the bottom there. In the springtime, you can take your pump back out of storage and put it back in, rebury it under your rocks or under your gravel, your bark, however the situation is, and then you'll be good as new for the spring. So once you get your pump pulled out of the basin, you will unscrew the nozzle right here, and in this spot is where you will attach the 3 pieces that allow you to adapt from the nozzle threads here to the hose. And once you've gotten that process done, go ahead and attach your hose to your pump. Now that you have your pump connected to your hose with your adapter, simply take the face of your pump, face it down, and push it all the way to the bottom of your pot. Once you've got it there, make sure your hose end is out in your yard or well enough away so you're not flooding your planter while you are pumping out all the water, and plug it in. At this point, you need to, while it is pumping out, clean off your pot. So you can see here, all of this right here is algae. So it can be handy to have your hose plugged in with your nozzle on it at the same time as you're doing this. And while this is pumping out, you can sit here and scrub on the algae to get it off. Wash off the outside, scrub, wash, repeat. Until the entire pot itself, all the way around, is nice and clean. Like I said, the steel wool does a great job. It really takes off all of the water deposits and any of the slime that may be on there as well. And then you'll simply wash it off. Again, you don't have to worry about harming the finish here, the glaze. This itself will not take off the glaze, even though it is very rough. It won't hurt the glaze. So what you'll also need to do as your water is being pumped out, there will also be scum on the inside. You have 2 options at this point. You can take your steel wool and scrub on the inside of your pot like this, going all the way around and down as the water goes down, or you can wait until your pot is almost empty, take your nozzle and spray out all the slime off the inside of your pot. You generally don't have to scrub the inside to get all of the slime and algae off, but sometimes you do. So first take your nozzle and spray off all the way around as your pump is going. Then the pump will get rid of all that slimy water that you then washed in and will get it out, and then that way you don't have to vacuum out much at the end. So you can either use your scrubber to scrub off the inside if you need to, or just use your hose, spray around as the water is lowering, and you'll get rid of all the nasty gunk that's been sitting at the bottom and that is attached to the inside of the pot itself. Okay, once you have reached the point where the pump can no longer pump out any of the water that is left in the pot, it should be about 1/4 or a 1/2 inch of water that the pump won't be able to get out. Simply unplug it, remove it from the pot itself. Don't put it away yet because you will need it to still pump all the water out of your basin. And then next, which I didn't mention in the things you'll need, but you do need it, is a wet dry vac. My favorite is the bucket head from Home Depot. It costs $20-25, fits right on the top of a 5-gallon bucket, so you never have to worry about breaking your bucket or cylinder or whatever your wet dry vac is sitting on top of. You just get a new bucket if you need it, snap it on, and it's good to go. So once you've gotten that all set up, you will take your hose end and vacuum out everything that is left in the bottom, all the gunk, the slime, any of the water. Vacuum all of that out until it is completely dry. And if you still need to wash out the bottom of the sides of your pot, go ahead and get it all washed out. Pump all the rest of that water out as far as you can with your pump. then vacuum, and you will be good to go. Okay, after you have fully cleaned out the inside of your pot, gotten all the water out of it, all the slime, all the gunk, you will next need to, again, grab your hose and pump. Do the same thing. Put the pump face down into your basin, like this, face down, plug it in, and pump out all the water out of the basin. Again, you should be able to get within a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch of water left in the basin before the pump won't be able to pump any more out. Okay, now that you have gotten all of your water pumped out of your basin, and there's about 1/4 to 1/2 inch left down there, simply unscrew your hose, put that away for the winter, then unscrew your adapter. Put this in a place where you will remember it for next year. That way you don't have to go buy all these pieces again. And then take your nozzle that connected to the corrugated tubing down here, reattach it so you don't lose that. Unfortunately, I don't have replacements for the nozzles on the pumps themselves. So if you lose that, it can be a little bit of a challenge to find parts that will go from your pump to your corrugated tubing. So be sure not to lose that part of your pump. Then simply take your pump, wrap it up, put it in a bag or in a cupboard inside your garage until next year in the spring when you will put your fountain back together. Then you'll need again to grab your wet dry vac, plug it in, and vacuum out as much of the water as you can get out of the basin. A lot of the times, because of the weight of the fountain, it will actually depress the middle of the basin a little bit, so the lowest point of your basin will be toward the center cone that holds up your pot. So simply turn on your wet dry vac, just vacuum out all of the water that's in there, and if you can, reach as far around on each side of your pot as possible. That way you can get as much of the gunk out as you can. For those of you that have the basins with the 6 different wedges, one nice thing you can do every fall before you fully winterize your fountain is simply lift up on the pot itself and pull out one of your wedges. That will allow you better access to vacuum out all the junk that may be in there. Simply go around the basin removing one of these at a time. Always put the one you removed back in, work your way around, remove the next one, vacuum, and repeat. Unfortunately, the people that have the basin that is a solid top for this area here won't be able to do that, but you can still reach around and vacuum out as much as possible simply by extending the hose around on either side of the access point. Alright, now that you have gotten your pot all cleaned out, your basin all cleaned out, you will need to let the whole thing sit uncovered for about 10 days. Believe it or not, glazing on a pot does not make it waterproof, so this pot all year has absorbed as much water as it can, just like a sponge. So you need to let this sit for about 10 days to allow all that water that's in the pores to evaporate. If you don't let the water evaporate, you run the risk of having all that freeze and thaw action from the cold temperatures in the winter continually expanding and contracting the clay, leading to cracks. So after you have let it sit for 10 days, you will take the custom cover that we have had made for you, put it over the top of your pot. The cover itself will fully cover the basin as well as the pot, and that will keep all the snow and ice out of the pot itself, as well as the snow and ice out of your basin, and more importantly, the leaves. So if you guys have any questions about getting your fountain done, think I may have left anything out of the video, please call us at the store or email us and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again.